So I want to start with what we learned at the very, very, very beginning, which was print and input statements.
Yep. So if you guys can recall the first lesson, what we did is we introduced you guys to like the most fundamental of Python. Those are print statements and variables. So I'm sure by now you have a pretty good grasp with print statements and variables. I don't think I really have to review this concept just because we've been using it in every single lesson basically. But I guess one thing that we should keep in mind was a really important concept that we introduced in that first lesson was the difference between strings and other types such as integers and floats. So just a syntax thing. A syntax is kind of like the grammar of Python. It's like, you know how humans, like if your friend is texting you and they spell one word wrong, you can usually read past that typo, right, and understand what they're saying. Python isn't the same. Syntax is really important because if we mess anything up, like forgetting our quotation marks for a string or missing parentheses, Python has literally no idea what we were talking about. So that is kind of the lesson where we introduce the whole concept of syntax.
All right, so let's start something random. Let's do a name input. How incredible. But anyway, I'm pretty sure you guys don't know.
Cutting edge technology.
I know, incredible. What is your name? And that's it. And now let's do a print statement. Now let's print. Greetings. And then plus name. I hope you're having an awesome day. Oh, I spelled awesome wrong. Awesome day. There you go. All right, so now let's run this. Oh wait, hold on. I forgot about this. There you go. Okay, what is your name? My name is Michelle. Michelle, I hope you're having an awesome day. Nice, it works. Amazing. So those are print and input statements, and the name is a variable. And in this case, these are strings. So it's just input. If this was a number, it would be int input, all that stuff. I'm pretty sure you guys know this. All right, let's move on.
Awesome. So that was a brief review of print, input, and variables. I think the next concept that we introduced was, correct me if I'm wrong, if, elif, and else. All right. So if, elif, and else are the next very useful concept that we introduced. So these are basically ways where we can introduce conditions into our code. It's basically a way of teaching Python what to do in a certain scenario by using the statements if, elif, and else. If is exactly what it sounds like in English. If blah 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 is satisfied, then execute this block of code. Do you want to type up an example?
All right. Let's say okay. Let's do a joke. So let's say, what's red and smells like green paint? All right, and then answer equals input. Oh, that's just their input. Oh wait, actually, let's do this instead. There you go. So the program asks a question and the user answers it. And if the answer is equal to double equal sign, remember double equal sign is comparison, a single equal sign is assigning a variable, which is not what we're doing right now. So if the answer is, I don't know, what's a mouse? Print. No, silly. That's not the right answer. And then elif, the answer equals, I don't know if it's something. Print. That's still not right. And if the answer is red paint, oh, I forgot a column there. Print. Yay, you got the right answer. And remember that we should print an else statement. In this case, the else statement is if the user inputs anything other than mouse, IDK, and red paint. And if you leave this blank, what the program does is actually it just skips over all the things. So it doesn't print anything. But in this case, if it's wrong, I want it to print no. So in that case, it's going to print anything. It's going to print something no matter what. So let's comment this out for now. Oh, how do I comment again? There we go. All right, let's say, I don't know. That's still not right. Okay, if we say red paint, it says you got the right answer. And if we say like something random, it says no. That's how if else statements work.
Yay! All right. So,
Wow.
a concept that we introduced with the introduction. Oh my god, English is hard. A concept that became important once we learned about if, elif, and else was indentation. Woohoo!
Yes,
So,
yes.
indentation is another one of those syntax things that's important. It basically tells Python what code is grouped with what. So we can see that under every if statement, there is an indent, and all of the indents under the if, elif, and else statements match. And this is important when we get to later on in coding, when we start nesting.
Nested loops and stuff.
Yeah, nesting. So it's like when you have an if statement within an if statement, or if you have later on, we're gonna review loops. If you have loops within loops, that's when things like indentation start to become really important, because it's like this set of defined rules that teaches Python how to read your code, so it understands what you want to do. Did you want to implement a nested?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so let's say you got the right answer, and then I don't know, just answer 2 equals input. Are you satisfied with your joke guessing ability? I don't know what I'm doing. This is just a random thing. And then in this case, we want an if-else statement only within this loop. So only if the answer is red paint are we going to do this if statement, which means that it has to be indented. So you see that there is a little indent over here, which means that it's only within this single chunk. So if answer 2 is equal to yes, print. Nice. Else, print. Aw. Alright, so it's a fail. So let's say we do red paint. And now what the program does, it goes over here and it sees that, oh, there's another if else loop, so it runs that instead. So let's say I am satisfied. There's this nice. And yeah, and nested loops are important because if I say like nice right now, it doesn't actually take this into consideration because this part of the code only runs within this chunk. So yeah, that's how it works.
And notice how when we're working with things like if and elif, Michelle always has an else. So else kind of acts as like this net that catches any conditions that aren't being fulfilled by if and elif. Sometimes when you don't have an else, there are certain circumstances where we kind of run into issues, especially when when you get to the point where your code is kind of more interconnected. Sometimes when we run into a situation where there is something that happens that doesn't satisfy any of the if and elif, Python doesn't really know what to do since you don't have an else. So in general, it's good practice to always have an else that catches any like conditions that you weren't accounting.
Yeah. So like, say if I commented out this section of code, then anything I answer that isn't within those if or elif statements, nothing happens. So, like in some cases that's fine, but usually it's best to have a little fallback.
Like if you, let's say you're coding something that calculates some kind of value for you, and the certain circumstance happened where like let's say x equal to something that wasn't accounted for anything in if, elif, or elif, any of those statements, then you kind of run into issues if you needed the variable x later on in your code.
Yep. Anyway.
And I'm sure once you guys use if, elif, and else more, you'll know what I'm talking about, because
you'll see.
It's kind of a mistake that I make a lot.
Alright, moving on. Number 3. Next we did for and while loops.
Yeah. So loops is pretty self-explanatory. They're tools that we use when we have a certain block of code we want executed for multiple times. The difference between a for loop and a while loop is when we're in a situation where we're going to use a for loop, we know the amount of times we want a loop to execute. For a while loop, it comes more into use under the circumstance where we don't know exactly when we want the looping to stop.
Alright, nice. Let's actually, instead of writing an entirely new code, let's modify this chunk of code that we already have to include a for and while. Let's just do while loop actually. Okay, so for a while loop, let's say we want this code to run over and over again. So what I mean with that is, after it asks this question, it says, do you want to hear the joke again? And while the user says yes, it just runs the joke over and over and over again. Okay, I'll give you guys like 30 seconds to think about it. And if you're typing this code down along with me, you can give it a shot, and 30 seconds later, I'll just type it out and I'll explain it. Got it working before, you can let me know, and I will be very proud.
If you have it working, why don't you post a screenshot into the lesson room channel?
Oh yeah, it might take a while, so let's wait like another minute. And also, if you have it, like kind of, if you think you have it but it's not working, that's fine. You can post a screenshot anyway, just because.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want
Even
to
if it
just
doesn't
keep
work,
on
we can
going?
help you
Yeah.
debug.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna keep on going now, and if you have something kind of done, you can compare it. So what we need right now, you need it to start with. So like I'll just build it. I'm not gonna build it consecutively. But this is how I usually code, and I'm not sure if this is how you guys usually code, but this is what works for me. So what I do is while keep keep going equals yes. So that's the while loop. So that's what we want to keep on going. So we want this to keep on running. So we're gonna indent everything so it's inside this while loop. And at the end of the while loop, after all of this if statements, we want this to happen no matter what the answer is, which is why it's not in any of these if or else indents.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to re-update keep going. Input. Do you want to hear the joke again? In this case, the user has an option to ask the joke again. And yeah, and then we need to obviously state keep going at the beginning. So do you want to hear a joke? Okay, and I think that's it. And if you recall correctly, in our lesson for this subject, we did mention that this is kind of our fallback, or like I don't know, like a braking mechanism,
or like
it's like a fuse in one of those electrical circuits.
Oh, I was like, oh, it's like the I don't know, like the bowl that catches everything that you're like let's say you're like sifting flour. It's kind of the bowl that catches everything.
Oh.
So like you don't have any situations that that cause issues.
Basically, oh wait, my screen just froze. Never mind, we're good. So basically, if this wasn't there, then if keep going was yes, it would always be yes, and there wouldn't be a chance for it not to be yes. So it would just
keep on
destroy
going.
your computer.
Yeah, it would.
Yep. So there we go. Let's see if this works. If we say, oh wait, actually, let's put this phrasement at the end. That's like, have a nice day. But you have to print that. You can't just do that. I don't know why I did that. Okay.
Wait.
Have a nice day.
Yep.
There we go.
Your
So let's
parentheses
say
always need friends.
So I don't want to hear a joke, and this is have a nice day.
Understand,
Let's say
have a nice
I
day.
do want to hear a joke. Let's say I guessed right. I am not satisfied because I don't want to hear the joke again. Let's say I want to hear it again, and I guess something random, and it says no. And then I don't want to hear the joke, and it says have a nice day.
Have a nice day. Awesome.
Okay. So now we've incorporated a while loop.
Yay! Yeah, so reiterating what Michelle was emphasizing, with a while loop, it really only ever becomes useful for us when we have a certain condition that will allow us to exit a while loop. Otherwise, it'll just like while for like a loop that's like while true, it's just gonna keep on going and it'll destroy your computer.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's do a quick example of a for loop.
Let's say like, okay, well let's just modify this one. Let's say the joke, you want to tell the joke just 3 times in a row, just for some random reason. So in that case, we would do for joke in range 3. Then you can delete the statement. And I think that's it, honestly.
Yep. So
Yeah.
the most common way, at least for me, the most common way I use for loops is using this thing we call range.
Mhm.
Whatever we put inside range is basically just the amount of time we want the loop to run. And the unique thing about for loops is we have this looping variable called joke. Sometimes most of the times I actually use I for index.
Yeah, it's a thing where right now, like in this example, this doesn't matter. Like this can be anything you want.
But there are certain instances where you actually get to make use of your looping variable. And sometimes in that situation, it might be easier to change the variable into something that makes sense for you. So I usually do I because it's like the default, but joke is good too, especially when you have multiple looping variables and you need to keep track of which is which.
And also, oh yeah, and I think you just said that. Yeah, it's important because it's super important when you get to bigger pieces of code because I made this mistake. Don't be like me. I called them like A and then B and then C and then D and then like I and then X and stuff like that. And then at the end, I could not remember which was which, and it was awful.
Sometimes I do that too, but as long as you can keep track of what is what, then it's not an issue for you. So the unique thing about this looping variable is basically when we use it in tandem with range. Basically, the first time the loop runs, joke equals 0, then it equals 1, then it equals 2.
Yep.
And yeah, important thing to remember with Python, in most instances, Python actually starts counting from 0. 0 is kind of like the new 1. So just keep in mind, because there are certain circumstances where you'll run into issues, like you think it's going to count up to 3, but it actually starts counting at 0, so it ends at 2.
Yeah, and a quick way to fix that, if you want, you can like when you're using it, you can just do +1, or you can just go 1 before. Yep, that means it starts at 1, ends before 4.
And then you can even add another.
Oh yeah, and like you can do 2, and then it counts by 2. So yeah.
You can also use for loops with strings.
Oh yeah.
Instead of integer, if you wanted to.
I don't know.
For joke and
4-letter thing. Wait, is this how it works?
Yep. In Michelle.
And letter.
Yep. And so this is another example of an instance where we actually get to utilize the looping variable.
Ah, there we go.
Yay!
Wow. Amazing. All right, so that was for and while loops. Now on to arrays and indexes. Okay, that
indices.
Indices. That may be a little more complicated. All right. In that case, let's just do a completely new example because it might be a little difficult to follow up with those.
Oh, Michelle. I think someone wants you to scroll up to the place where we first introduced for and while.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
Yeah, let us give them a few seconds.
We actually. Oh, hold on.
Did you comment it out?
The while. Oh, that. The while part. I just deleted it.
Oh, no, scroll up a little bit. Oh, you deleted it?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it until
I
can. Hold on.
Oh, well, it's okay.
I got this.
Oh, okay.
Spamming Control Z. There you go. There you go. Now, if you can take a screenshot or copy it down. I shouldn't have deleted that, but it's okay. Okay. While we do that, let me think of a way we can do something different.
So you guys learned last week, I think, about lists.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wait. Let's actually continue with the joke theme here. Okay. I'm just gonna explain what I want to do, and then I'll type it down. So, let's create an array of 3 different jokes along with an array of 3 different answers, and then we can print one of those. Okay. So let's do that. All right. Is the person who needed this? Are you done? Or do you need more time? Okay. Just 1 more second. All right. No problem. Alright then. Yeah, no problem. Okay, okay, let's go back. Let's change this back to 4. So, the joke and range 3. And delete this part. Alright, so now on to arrays and indices. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Indices?
So, yeah, indices. Let's say, okay, jokes. What's red and spells like rain, paint. Yeah. Actually, okay, no, I want this to be a challenge for you guys afterwards, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to make a new one. Alright, I'm sick of being indecisive. Okay, Yina, let's start a new array and things. Let's say we want an array of,
Temperatures?
I was going to say fish names.
Oh, okay. You can go with fish names if you want. I don't actually. Okay, yeah, you know what? I know enough fish species.
Fish names.
Clownfish.
Salmon. Oh wait, I meant like actual fish names, like I don't know, Bubbles or something.
Oh, I thought you meant
Okay,
fish
no,
species.
it's fine. We can do
Nemo.
Nemo. Imagine being
Wait,
called
so
salmon.
Salmon's a fish name, but not a fish species. All right.
Oh,
Tuna.
you know what? There's a fish somewhere called salmon. That's not actually a salmon. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
you know what?
Mhm.
Sam.
Okay, so let's
That's
say
a name. Okay.
yeah. So usually, what I do with arrays, I use them in for loops a lot because it just works. So let's say for fish in range, len fish names, and in this case, just a little note. I could replace this with for because it also works. But if I do this, then let's say I suddenly wanted to add another name. Say I had like the name is I don't know water. Okay, in that case, I wouldn't have to change this because it just automatically does it.
Yeah.
And it's
So
useful when you have a lot of different functions with this array, so you won't have to go back and change everything.
yeah. So len is just, if you guys don't remember from last week, it takes the length of the array, so amount of items in the array. And I guess it's also useful when you have really big arrays and you don't want to manually count all the items.
And here is an example of something that you have to be careful of. Remember that the line of fish names is an integer that we want it to be a string in order to be able to put it together. We do that, so we have this fish, and fish names. This fish is named fish names, and remember this is inside here we put in the index of whichever one we want to refer to. And in this case, it would be fish. Because we're counting, since it's for fish in range, that means fish is equal to 0, then 1, then 2, all the way until right before how long this array is. So in the first run through, it would look at fish, and fish would be 0. So it goes to the 0 index of fish names, which is salmon, because Python starts counting at 0. So in this case, let's add period. Alright, and then print. I hope you enjoyed meeting my fish.
Eating the fish.
Oh wait, hold on.
Oh, I thought you said eating.
Oh. There you go. Oh wait, I don't want this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comment. Oh wait, I think. Wait,
No, that's just a bug. It just does that.
Oh, okay.
It's fine. I don't want that. Okay, there we go. Remember, do that. There we go. So in this case, the for loop runs through all of the elements in the list or array, and it prints them off one by one. And that's how an array works.
Oh, guys, I think attendance just opened, so take
Yep.
a moment right now to go do that. It is in the announcements channel.
Yep, and I think that's the end of our lesson because that's all we learned so far. Just a quick.
Hello.
Do you want to briefly run over all the other I don't know, are they called operators? I don't know.
Operators?
The functions we can use with.
Oh, right, yes, of course.
Yina, hate to cut you off, but I just want to make a quick announcement that attendance is open.
Yep, we told them already.
Okay, alright. Never mind.
Yeah, thank you. It's okay. Very good. Alright,
Not needed anymore.
While you guys are doing that, I'll just talk and you guys can come back and look at the screen if you need. So other functions I can do with an array, if you don't want to manually add this, you can say, what is it called? Fish names dot append. For whatever reason, okay, this is useful when you want to change the array, but only after you do a certain thing. So like, let's say I only want to add this after you name your fish. Like, I have a secret fish that I don't want you guys to know about, and his name is Shadow. There you go.
Shadowfish.
I know, right? He has a very tragic backstory. So now we have. So after we named our fish, we appended Shadow into the fish names. So now if we wanted to print it, just to check fish names, you can also just print it, right? It just doesn't. It just comes out like this. So now it's appended. And let's say I actually remove. Let's say I don't like. Let's say Bubbles was.
Nemo died.
Okay, Nemo. Oh right, Nemo died. Okay, let's say Nemo died. So now I have to remove Nemo. And after then if we remove Nemo, yeah, and now Nemo is gone from the array. Poor Nemo. I know, right?
Rip.
Okay. Sweet. So that's pretty much it. Before we end this meeting, I want to say that I have a final challenge for you guys. It's optional, but if you do it, I will be very happy.
It is not optional.
You know what?
Please do it.
Please do it. Please do it. The challenge is I want to modify this into a random joke generator. So I want there to be like 3 or 4 or 5 different jokes along with their individual answers, and which each week they give you a different question. Yep. That's it. Yeah, I hope you guys have fun with doing that.
Wait, Michelle, did you have like that game thing, or was that it?
No, that was it. Oh, okay. And also, I did code it already. It's called a random joke generator. Right. Another thing, Python has a lot of importing things. So let's say I wanted to be able to randomize. So like, let's say I wanted to print random number from 0 to 10. And in this case, random isn't actually a thing, but if you write from random import, so it's a star, it is a thing. So that might be useful if you want to randomize the joke input. So like if you want to say it chooses a random joke out of the array each time. Oh my gosh, they're bugging me.
Another useful thing we can import is math, right?
Wait, how did we?
Oh, I think.
Oh no, it was randint. Sorry. Randint means random integer. Yeah. That's a little tidbit of information if you want.
You can also import math if you want to use things like square root.
Oh yeah, and it's like from blank import
And then
plus a star.
asterisks.
That's the thing. And if you're going to take grade 11 CS, this is going to be such an important thing.
Okay, wait, guys. Michelle, I think a few people want you to scroll back to the fish code.
The fish? Oh yeah, totally. There you go. But let me just comment this out because we don't need it. So yeah, that's it. I will post the random joke generator in the chat. It's a REPL. And if you guys want to look at it, see how I did it.
No, grade 11 CS, they teach you Python.
Yeah, they teach you Python. They teach processing in grade 12. Or maybe they, you learned, maybe they changed it.
Oh, do they? Huh, I mean,
Yeah.
it's been a while. It's been 2 years
I
for
mean,
me, so.
I learned Python.
Yeah, I mean, our year did.
Yeah.
So if you guys
Chat
haven't
teach
done, attendance, make sure to go do that.
Python.
And other than that, check out that random joke generator and screenshot your code to us.
Okay, here's
and
mine.
we will give
Maybe
you.
try not to look at it until you try it yourself first. This is like a reference if you need it. Also, I can't remember if it works. Let me just check really quick.
If you send your code, we will give you a special reaction emoji.
Yes, please. Also, please do a bunch of different jokes. I would love to see
It's in the announcements channel. They just, to my knowledge, they still teach Python.
Yeah, same. Anyway, yeah.
If you guys are taking grade 11 CS, you guys will have a leg up.
Mm-hmm. All right. I will end the stream now. I hope you guys enjoyed this review lesson. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to add us or PM us. And I hope you guys do add that joke program because I want to see more jokes.